So what's different about the guitars I build, or have been building? The entire body is arched on both sides. Top and back are the same arch, and that's about 15-foot radius. The top is arched this way, and it's arched this way to that same radius. The back is also arched this way and this way, same radius. The sides started out as a flat 4-inch piece. It's still about 4 inches thick here, down a bit here on each side. So if you put it on a table, it'll rock. Right? It has nice, smooth, clean arches, which is really nice. There's no flat spots in here. Nice, perfect arch. Same on the top, with the exception that there's a slight flattening right in front of the bridge. It doesn't dip down. It comes up and it goes flat to the sound hole. Now initially it was arched there. The pressure of the strings brings it down about even. Now you'll find on standard flat top classical guitars that there's actually a dip right in front of the bridge. This is the same thing, but the arch initially takes that to a flat spot instead of a dip. So in these guitars, at least, the old saying that you have to have a dip in front of the bridge is not true. In this case, it's a flat spot. It's not a dip. This is a double top. All the guitars I've made recently are double tops, which is to say it has Nomex sandwiched in between two veneers of either spruce or cedar, in this case cedar. In my work, I've determined that I want my tops to be 3 millimeters thick, give or take a couple tenths of a millimeter, and weigh with the sound hole inlaid and cut out to the shape of the guitar. It should weigh 100 grams, give or take a gram or two. And that's what I've, for lack of a better term, standardized on. It gives a really nice platform to build the guitar on. On top of that, I've evolved a bracing pattern, which, even though I have tried to change it in one way or another, keeps pulling me back and saying, this sounds the best of everything that you've done. And I'll show you a picture of that. It's not something I would have come up with off the top of my head. It evolved from other designs, from a fairly wide open lattice design that started out initially being two X's, an X here and an X here. And that evolved, turns into a diamond in the middle with braces here and here, some coming out here, some coming out here. in some ways looks a little bit like a steel string, but it certainly isn't, and it certainly isn't built like a steel string. It took several years for that to evolve. It took tearing tops off of many guitars and redoing them, tearing backs off of guitars and redoing them. Not redoing the backs as much as redoing the tops, playing them, redoing them again, playing them, redoing them again, and actually learning how that all works with the sound. There's another thing that is done with these guitars that is quite different, what I call a pin support. And what it's doing is there's a transverse bar, normally on classical guitars, that goes right across here. And that limits the main vibrating area of the instrument to the lower bout. And that's what you'll see on most instruments. And sometimes you'll even see big braces going across here, and things like that. But the main thing is that brace remains a constant. Now, people have tried in the past to kind of put openings on each side of that brace to try to get this upper area to vibrate a little bit. And I've done that. I was doing that 20 years ago, 30 years ago. A lot of people have published photos and journals about how they have tried to do that. And quite often what they're also doing is that they're bringing fan bracing up into here. Okay. Now, I did that for a number of years in all sorts of different manners. And I never could actually get this area to vibrate. If we looked at Chladni testing and places where you can visualize what's actually happening, it doesn't happen. Okay, even though you've got big openings here. So what's happened on this, and I've evolved this over the years, is that there's a piece of carbon fiber about 3/4 of an inch below the top. And there's a pin, a little set screw, underneath here that goes up and touches a very short transverse bar here. It stops right here at the edge of the sound hole. It does not go anywhere near the sides. Okay. Now, that pin does two things. It connects that part of the top to that piece of carbon fiber that's going across here. And the pin gives you a fulcrum point where things can vibrate. Now, that's interesting in a couple ways. One is that, yes, it's possible to have a vibration area coming up here. But the other thing it does is that that carbon fiber rod becomes part of the vibrating system, in essence. And you can also adjust the tension between that rod and the brace here. So it's an interesting setup. I've learned through experience not to bring any braces across here. If I do that, I kill this whole concept. If I leave these as separately braced areas, then the whole thing works. If I try to tie them together, it doesn't. Very interesting. So that is a very unique aspect of my instruments. The bracing pattern and the pin support. Another thing that's very unique about my guitars is the bridge. You may be able to see that that is not a rosewood bridge. The bridge is made out of sapele. It's a little bit harder than mahogany, a little bit heavier than mahogany, quite a bit lighter than rosewood. Okay, 20 grams is the maximum weight I'll accept for a bridge. That's very difficult to do with a rosewood bridge. There is rosewood actually on this bridge, the stripes on the front and the back and in front here of the tie block are in fact rosewood, East Indian rosewood in this case. And they help support an otherwise lighter, softer wood, and it makes it more durable. It also gets it into the 18 gram area, 18 to 19 grams. A little bit heavier than what I've done when I've had just sapelli. Those are lighter, as far down as 14 grams. You'll notice here as well, this is not bone. This happens to be a snakewood bridge saddle. Lighter than bone. I find I would describe the difference in sound. I'm not sure why there's a difference in sound between this and bone. But I've done the experiment. I've had the same size bone and snakewood, and actually I've used blackwood and Brazilian rosewood and other woods for bridge saddles as well. I find the wooden saddles tend to give you a brighter sound, a little bit more edge on both the bass and the treble. If you don't like that, if you want a little duller sound, then we can put a bone bridge in there, bone saddle. So that and the, I don't know, a neck is a neck. I make sure that my necks are 20 millimeters thick and that they're not absolutely flat in the back. They're nicely arched in the back. It's one of the thinner necks that you'll find on classical guitars. One of the reasons for that is that I do tend to support the necks with inlaid support with heavier woods, in this case lacewood, and that allows me to make it thinner. If you use something like Spanish cedar, which is very lightweight wood, which is nice for the balance, of the guitar, to have a lighter neck. But if you do that, then you have to make it a thick neck. And some people love a thick neck. I don't. I've been playing for over 50 years. I don't like thick necks. So find that Spanish cedar does tend to move with age, and you will get a lifting, an arching of the neck, which I don't particularly want. It's not that much. So I use Rubner tuning gears generally, made in Germany, excellent quality, at a good price. And I sometimes experiment with woods. An example would be this particular guitar has an Indian rosewood back, but the sides are an unknown wood. I don't know what the wood is. It's a beautiful purplish wood. So yet another thing that I do that's fairly unique, as far as I know it's totally unique, is I have a different kind of lining that I use. Now, lining is used to do two things. One is here's a picture of it. It's used to attach to the sides. You glue it to the sides at the top and at the bottom, and it allows a surface that is wider than the tiny little side to glue the top and the back onto. It also has a tendency, if you use this reverse kerfing, so you're gluing it on the curved side, gives you a veneer on the back side, inside, that stiffens the top a little bit. Now, it's not a huge amount, but you can tell it's measurable. Now, what I've done, and some others may have done this, I came up with it on my own, so it doesn't mean anything. It's probably been done before. is I've extended that lining to be the full size of the sides. So here's a full 4-inch lining that I used on one of these guitars. Here's another one. This one happens to be, I'm not sure what this is, pine. I guess this is pine. This one here is poplar, and that's the guitar that I've been playing as poplar. And then the newest guitar, which I haven't strung up yet, has fir. Okay, the fir is much stiffer than these others. It's bizarre how much thicker it is, or stiffer it is. And the whole idea really is to stiffen up the sides and make it to where they are not going to vibrate along with the top and back. And I don't know if it's possible. We probably can't see inside there without some extra light. But these have the poplar as on the inside. And the surface of the poplar is visible on the inside. There's no need for yet another piece of lining in there. That's it. The stiffness on the side is remarkable when you have a full length piece in there. It's dramatically different. And what I've found is that this actually provides a louder guitar. I've done another guitar back there where I didn't do this, but what I did do is create a framework inside the guitar that stiffened just the area of the lower bout. And that actually is a rather loud guitar as well. But this beats it as far as sound. It also gives a much crisper, quicker response to the notes that you're playing. It's quite remarkable. It doesn't change the whole thing dramatically, but it is noticeable when you compare it to the others. And the others are built, as far as the top goes, virtually identical to this one. So that's another piece to the puzzle. There's a whole lot of different things that go into this, into making a guitar above average, well above average, in terms of response and efficiency, getting the sound of the string out, being an efficient amplifier, which is what the whole point is. It's an acoustic amplifier. So, at any rate, that's what I'm doing. Those things specifically. I've kind of omitted the back because I do different things on the back. There's not one thing I do on the back. That's pretty much it. If you're interested, get a hold of me. Let's try to get you to where you can hear one of these instruments.